Good morning and welcome back to the Haven Financial Group radio show. Thanks for listening. Feel free to give us a call at 612-504-8400 or havenfinancialgroup.com with any questions, concerns. Set up a time to come in. It's a laid back, comfortable atmosphere where we can get to know you and you can ask all kinds of questions. Our job description as retirement advisors is really to answer questions, so probably questions some of you have had for many, many years, yet nobody's taken the time to answer them. So we find that all the time, Kim. Well, how long have you
Mm.
had that question? For a long time. Well, that's where we need answers to questions. That's why it's
Mhm.
important.
Absolutely. Our underlying theme today is inflation, and we're talking about some of the things that inflation might impact as you reach retirement or if you're in retirement. And I think it's pretty easy to understand, Larry, that it is hard. If you're in your 50s and you're saving for retirement right now, it might be hard to hit some of those targets because prices are higher than they were 10 years ago. So let's talk about some of the things that you have to sort of keep in mind and the targets that you need to hit as you approach those golden years.
Yeah, without a clear savings goal and timeline, it might not become reality as much as you want it to. It takes a well crafted plan and really specific things to look at. It I want to point out is get a good understanding of where your expenses are.
Mm.
Estimate those retirement expenses. And that's everything. If you're a golfer, if you like to do what are your goals, healthcare, factor that in, travel. We always think of the things that you need because you need income for the things you need. Number one, housing, healthcare, but you want income for the things that you want to do. So
Sure.
getting a real good idea of what that looks like. A common starting point is to plan for at least up to 80% of your pre retirement income annually.
Hmm.
They always preach to the young people, get a budget. Well, it's no different for retirees because so many times people underestimate. And when we do projections, and by the way, determining that retirement age, what is the timeline? Is that 5 years from now? And then consider life expectancy.
Hmm.
We sat down with a lot of folks that mom and dad lived well into their 90s, maybe 100. What does that timeline look like? Is it 20, 30 years? And we can put a category in there. It's called in our projections, our Monte Carlo projections, an anything else category. And we'll maybe buffer in 20 to 30 grand, depending upon who it is, because there's always something else,
Hmm.
besides the grandkids or, a recent furnace that I had to put in my house. So you want to factor that in. The timeline, so important.
Sure.
Um, and then the idea that, reasonable returns. Here we're an investment firm, a retirement service, financial services firm. When people hear that, what are reasonable returns?
Right.
Well, any financial people can puff up numbers and we can, numbers are numbers and stats are stats. And we want to be realistic. I think that just unrealistic returns as you project the growth out, I think it's just a waste of time.
Hmm.
We want to be reasonable. We may use 6% pre retirement, 4% post retirement, plan for the worst and hope and pray for the best. If it's better than you plan, great. But look at all your income sources. Income, some would call it mailbox money. Income is the name of the game. Income for the things you need, so you have income for the things that you want. Let's factor in all those options. Where is it going to come from and for how long?
Absolutely. And then we go back to some of those retirement expenses that you really have to think about. And we've talked about this so many times here on the show. Healthcare costs, the healthcare costs, obviously taxes. These are some of those, continued shelter. These are the kinds of expenses that maybe people aren't thinking about because when they weren't retired, that was part of maybe coming from their employer, or that was just dealt with in a different way. So talk to us a little bit about some of the things that you guys explain to your clients and work with your clients to make sure that their healthcare costs and their taxes are being taken care of.
Yeah, it seems like healthcare is always underestimated. I had a couple from Lakeville in, newly retired this week. They met with me and we're helping them out on investments, and Glenn's with helping them out on healthcare and Medicare. And wow, they go, we never factored in that monthly amount for our the two of us, for healthcare, we hear that all the time. Healthcare is a major expense that you need to budget for in retirement. We can help you with it, making sure that you're in the right place, the right plan, the right coverage based upon doctors, prescriptions, whatever it may be that you're dealing with. And they always get a lot of times people get confused that healthcare costs and long-term care costs, they're kind of the same, and they're not the same.
Mm,
Healthcare and Medicare is not long-term care, and
mm,
unfortunately, I've had a lot of, it seems like a lot, maybe it's not as many, but it just seems like a lot of clients that have recently had to go into a nursing home or check mom and dad into a nursing home, and that can decimate an estate. If you haven't planned for that, and there's 50 to 70% of us that are going to need some sort of healthcare or nursing home. If you haven't looked at newer ideas out there, that Glenn was on our show here a couple weeks ago about hybrid long-term care or asset-based long-term care. Maybe you've only familiar with the traditional long-term care. If you're not having those discussions, now it may not be feasible for everybody. You should be having those discussions. How will it be paid for? And what is your plan? Is it the kids to take care of you? Good luck. That's not going to happen. It might, but it usually doesn't.
yeah, exactly. You also talk again about let's taxes and how important it is to not just have your taxes prepared, but to be planning. Because if you're paying a big bill, then don't pay that big bill again. Let's figure out how to get around it. You have to resolve your tax issues, not just live with them.
Yeah, we're coming into tax time. Lance is like our CPA in house. He's getting all geared up. He gets giddy about taxes. We've had him on. He does get giddy about taxes and wants to make sure Uncle Sam doesn't get any more than they deserve. But tax planning leads to successful tax preparation. There
Mm,
should be no surprises or very few surprises. And that's where throughout the course of the year we'll sit down, Lance will have this tax discussions, which is added value. And you know what? There'll be very few tax surprises when it comes time to owing Uncle Sam or getting a few dollars back. What I would like to say is, when it comes to, we had people come out to our classes and then they maybe choose to come in or choose not to come in. I'm just going to address the human nature piece of this that, sometimes people feel ashamed. Might feel timid. They might be scared to come in, ashamed to come in. Oh my goodness, I just haven't done anything. And, I'm embarrassed that I don't have what the Joneses have. And, you know, or they come in and as a couple and, that they pinky promised each other when they came in that don't let them sell us anything when we come in. Don't let them sell us anything. We take people through a process that if you're getting sold something, you're probably not getting all the information.
mm,
You know what? We want to educate people. We want people to feel comfortable with that time that we'll spend. That will give them confidence. They won't feel so overwhelmed. Should not feel ashamed. You know what? Small, medium, or large, or little situation or complex, there should be comfort knowing that whoever you're talking with is listening more than talking. And that's sometimes the one thing that doesn't happen is that people want to talk and not listen, and we want to listen to what people's goals and aspirations are.
Something else, though, Larry, that you are very clear about frequently, and I know that you'll stand by this now, transparency when it comes to what you are paying for this kind of partnership is imperative.
You should only be getting transparency. I shouldn't ask the question 80%, 75, 80% of what you're paying and what you're getting. And Larry, that's a really good question. We have no idea. That just shouldn't happen today. We'll be the first to say nothing's free. But when we work with folks, they know exactly what they're going to get. The expectation is going to be set. Part of our process is, though, as much as this may seem like it's complicated, this retirement thing, it can be complicated. What our job description at Haven Financial Group is to simplify things, make it clear. If it's not clear, explain it again, and have fun with retirement planning. Even though it might not all be fun, enjoy the ride.
Mm.
Enjoy the ride, get there, and then continue to enjoy the ride.
If we have talked about something that really clicks with you, if you have questions or you just like to sit down with someone and learn a little bit more, give the folks at Haven Financial Group a call, 612-504-8400. They can talk through this with you. It's 612-504-8400. Coming up next, we're going to talk about the value of predictable income. As Larry has said, it's all about the income. This is the Haven Financial Group radio show.